I receive an email almost every day about reviewing some new wireless earbud. And I've reviewed maybe 6, and I've probably had a dozen in here that never even got a video made about them because they were horrible. So why am I reviewing another wireless earbud? Well, because this one's pretty spectacular. For my old job, I used to travel a ton and was always looking for little travel solutions for charging. And I found this cool little square. It had a bunch of plugins around the side and it had USB charging. Not only did it have USB charging, it was quick charging, so there was some brains going on inside. And it would charge iPads, headphones, iPhones very quickly. And it was an Anker product. And when I go to buy power strips or charging cables, I almost always buy Anker products. So what does that have to do with these? Well, Soundcore is actually Anker's top tier headphone and earbud line. Anker also makes some headphones under the Anker name, but they're a lot less expensive. I actually purchased 3 pair of Soundcore earbuds before the channel ever started. If you go on Amazon and you look up Soundcore headphones or earbuds, there is a lot of reviews. I'm talking tens of thousands of reviews on these. I bought 3 pair of Soundcore earbuds and I use them all the time. I was even at Walmart the other day and they have a small section of wireless headphones. And they're not bad headphones. They're Bose, they're Sony's. And guess what was right next to them? Soundcore, which means Soundcore is actually stocked and sold by Walmart. Now it's not these, I think they're a different model, but I think the takeaway here is Soundcore is not going anywhere and they are directly competing with Bose and Sony. And I think they're taking a lot of market share away from Bose and Sony. I like to have music with me at all times. So if I'm shopping, if I'm running errands, and really when I'm mowing the lawn, I especially want music. Noise canceling has never really moved the needle for me one way or the other, but I always found that it really messed with the sound or it hurt my ears because there's too much pressure. Noise canceling for me never was, I never liked it. Noise canceling was never at the top of my priority list when it came to buying earbuds or headphones. The irony is that the Liberty 2 Pro, which is this one, this video is about the Liberty 3 Pro. This one doesn't have any noise canceling, and I didn't need it. When I would mow the lawn, it had good enough passive noise canceling that I didn't really need active noise canceling. So after a year of doing this channel, there are specific products that I keep coming back to and I use the most. And the irony is that Soundcore wireless earbuds are one of the products that I use the most. So these, Liberty Pro 3, I think. Liberty Pro 3. Yeah, I think that's right. Comes in a little case. The case actually slides up like that. And then they have little LEDs inside, which is pretty cool. And they have LEDs right there. And then the charging port's on the back. It's a USB-C. There's also a pairing button back here. So these are it. Pretty small. They fit right in your ear just like that. And I was excited to get these because I use their older brother quite a bit. These are the Liberty Pro 2s. Now the Liberty Pro 2s have a button. The Liberty Pro 3s have touch controls. Let's talk about that. I've had a half dozen products in here that use touch controls to change tracks, turn the volume up, turn the volume down, answer calls, hang up on calls, and guess what? They don't work. Sometimes they work. Every time, 12% of the time. They just don't work consistently. So I was not thrilled when I learned that this one had touch controls because I like a button. Buttons rarely fail. You can press it in and press it out. Number one, you know when you pressed it. Number two, generally the product knows when you depress something and close the circuit. Buttons are good. Buttons work. The touch controls on the Liberty Pro 3 are the best implementation I've ever had. There is another earbud that I have in here, a wireless earbud that uses touch controls, and it's way more expensive and it's unusable. I didn't even do the review because it is so bad. I would change things when I'd be pulling it out. There would be all sorts of different noise canceling modes I would turn on just by pulling them out of the case. One of the coolest things about the Liberty 3 Pro is they have their own application, and in that application you can change what the touch controls do. So there's a 1 press, a 2 press, a 3 press, and then a long press. But the takeaway with the touch controls on these earbuds is it actually works. Dual driver technology. So these have a balanced armature driver and a dynamic driver. And companies can claim, oh, we have dual driver technology. Well, that doesn't mean anything, because I've heard dual driver, I've heard 10 driver IEMs or earbuds that sound like garbage. So it doesn't matter. Even though it has 2 drivers in here, number one, it doesn't mean they're balanced, it doesn't mean they're combined properly, and it doesn't mean it's gonna sound good. So just because this has dual driver tech doesn't mean they're gonna sound good. The good news is, it sounds pretty good. One of the things about Soundcore products is they don't really care about codecs. Until now, they have LDAC and AAC, which means if you have a recent Android phone, you may be able to hook up LDAC. LDAC is the Bluetooth codec that can transfer the most amount of data. Does that actually translate into better music? It depends. Also has AAC, which is good because AAC is what the Apple platform uses for a Bluetooth codec. Also has SBC. SBC is the catch-all. Bluetooth codecs to me used to be pretty important. However, as I thought about things and as I enjoyed music on the previous generation Soundcore products, which didn't have any fancy codecs, I discovered that I was enjoying the music a lot. And I think the reason why is it's kind of like listening to high-res music in the car. 24/192, perfect recording, perfect mastering, the highest resolution you can get. You're driving down the road with 65 dB of road noise. It doesn't matter how much detail you're actually hearing, because you're not going to hear any detail because you have 65 dB of road noise going on. The opposite is true with IEMs. If you have a driver that is 5 millimeters from your eardrum, chances are you're going to hear a lot of detail, even if it's an MP3. So you're probably going to hear more detail through a lossy codec or even a bad recording because it's so close to your ear. Add on top of that some really decent noise canceling, and one is hearing a ton of detail. And I'd argue you're going to hear more detail out of a $170 pair of wireless noise canceling IEMs than you probably will out of a $20,000 system that is just perfect. Because there's room stuff. There's always stuff going on, but there's not a lot of stuff going on when you have the driver a 1/4 inch from your eardrum. While I'm happy this includes LDAC and AAC for Bluetooth codecs, I don't really think it matters all that much because I was really enjoying the music from the Soundcore P3s and the Liberty Pro 2s. And they didn't have any fancy codecs. Something else that's cool about the Liberty Pro 3s, they have an application. It's a really good application. Within that application, they have a hearing test. You go through and you just listen, you get in a quiet room, you listen, and then you just do the hearing test. And then it throws out an EQ curve depending upon how you scored on the hearing test. There are other products out there, including Android, I think. Most Androids, you can do a hearing test and it will do something similar. It'll spit out an EQ curve for you. I've tried that on multiple products, including the Android operating system and some much more expensive wireless IEMs. Never really worked out. Soundcore did a very good job with this hearing test. It wasn't what I ended up with for my final EQ, but it was way better than other automated EQ building programs. And I think for a lot of people, they're going to enjoy that sound signature. Speaking of EQ, you can do your own EQ. You can save a bunch of EQ profiles that you do yourself, or you can go through their preset EQs. And if you go to rock or R&B and it's something that you like, but you want to tweak it a little bit, you can go in a custom and you can build upon their pre-built EQs to build something that is just right for you. Wireless earbuds, for the most part now, all have EQ applications, and it's good because you can get them to sound just about any way you want to. And since this has a good driver that has actual clarity, even if you warm these up a bit, you're still going to hear a lot of detail. Again, this isn't a feature that really moves the needle for me at all, but what I will say is the noise canceling on these is very good. And when I say very good, I mean it's not too heavy-handed. And when I say not too heavy-handed, I mean it's not putting pressure on my eardrum. There is some type of technology in here that actually has some pressure equalization, so you're not going to get that push on your eardrums that I hate so much. The noise canceling works, and it works better than any of the other wireless earbuds I've had that have noise canceling. The charge lasts a long time, 32 hours. If you're an adult, just plug them in every now and again. 32 hours, unless you're trekking through the Amazon rainforest looking for Coronado's gold, you're not going to need 32 hours of charging. Even if you wore them 8 hours a day in the Amazon, you can still get 4 days out of them. Charging's fine. You can plug them in for 15 minutes, you get 3 hours of charge. Does it really matter? If you get 20 plus hours of operation out of a wireless IEM or earbud, does it really matter? If you're really concerned about it, don't be. 32 hours, but just be an adult and plug them in at night. So this is just like the Apple EarPods. I know they're not called EarPods. I like to call them the AirPods. Just like the Apple EarPods. You plug them into here, the case actually charges the earbuds, and then you charge the case. Calls are good. Calls are great. It's very good. They have good microphones in here. When I called some folks on here, they were surprised I was talking on a wireless earbud. So the calls is good, if not great. In a sea, and I mean a sea of wireless earbuds from Klipsch, JBL, Sony, Sennheiser, just about everybody. Everybody. And then there's offshoot brands that are trying to get into this market. Everybody has a wireless earbud. And it's kind of surprising that a power strip company comes out with a wireless earbud and wireless headphone line that is just destroying all of the established players, because these are spectacular. They sound as good as some wired IEMs with a decent dongle DAC. And with the freedom to tweak the sound signature how you want, in many cases these are going to be better than wired IEMs. I know, that's heresy. Oh my goodness. But they are. If I'm pressed for time, I'm grabbing these. Movies, I watch YouTube on these all the time. I listen to music all the time. Sometimes I listen to music for pure enjoyment, not just background, not just while I'm shopping. They're that good. The detail is incredible. Out of the box sound signature is now good. It used to be really heavy-handed, really bassy, and I'd have to really bring down the bass quite a bit to get these where I want them to be. They could be a little bit sibilant, but even the flat sound signature on these is way better than the previous generation. But the stock sound signature doesn't really matter because you can tweak it however you want to. Some people are going to say that wired IEMs are going to be better. And in some cases, they are going to be better. In a lot of cases, they're probably going to be better. I don't know, even at this price, if you're going to get a wired IEM that sounds better. Maybe with a dongle DAC, but by the time you add a dongle DAC, probably going to be around the same price point. But it doesn't matter. Even if you have a wired IEM and a good dongle DAC that is cheaper, and it's 25% better, 35% better. Even if a product doesn't quite sound as good as something else, if I use it more, it's the right product for me. If you need wireless earbuds for any reason, I would take a hard look at the Liberty Pro 3s because they are the best wireless earbuds that I've heard. So if you want to support the channel, you can sign up for Patreon, patreon.com/cheapaudioman. Every Sunday night we have Patreon-only Zooms. We also have a patron-only Facebook group. You can also sign up for Tidal or Amazon Music. There's links in the description. If you do sign up, I get a couple of dollars. You can also buy the Liberty Pro 3s from my link. If you click and buy through that link, I do get a commission, but they have a return policy. So buy them, try them out, try out the EQ. If you don't like them, send them back. So don't binge watch anything on Netflix or Hulu unless you're watching and listening through your new Soundcore Liberty Pro 3s. Listen to some music and fill your soul with happiness while you're mowing or on a plane, on a train, in the Amazon searching for Coronado's lost gold with the Liberty Pro 3s because you'll get 4 days of usage out of them. And with that, I'm Randy. I'm the Cheap Audio Man.